Warm greetings, everyone. On behalf of W4W Foundation, a think tank instituted as a citizen collective, we welcome you to another session of Wednesdays for Water. Today's session is titled A Conversation on Conversations Towards Conservation. The objective of Wednesdays for Water is to engage in conversations with water experts, grassroots practitioners, policymakers, and youth to explore the complex, intertwined issues associated with water and the possible solutions. Since its inception, it has expanded to have more activities like Friday Waters and Monday Munching with Women for Water. Besides, the foundation has been organizing water workshops, walk and talks along water bodies, seminars, special courses, and conference panels to continue the water conservation in various possible ways. Please visit our website www.w4w.in for more details. My name is Paresh Chajat, and I will be your host for today. I am an urban water and sanitation sector researcher and practitioner, and I've been working in the sector for over 12 years now. I'm currently in the process of finishing my PhD on sanitation planning in small cities at IIT Bombay. I've been hosted by W4W Foundation for a Friday session where I spoke about the challenges Indian cities face in sanitation planning. I also moderate the Susanna Discussion Forum. For people who do not know, Susanna stands for Sustainable Sanitation Alliance, an informal network of individuals and organizations interested in safely managed sanitation and the broader wash sector. It came into being around 2007 and today has about 15,000 members, including more than 2,500 from India. The forum, which is a platform for its members to discuss, debate, share knowledge and experiences even as they emerge. The forum hosts nearly 30,000 posts spread over 6,000 topics. The forum is open to access. That is, it is open to read discussions simply by accessing it, but we need to register to participate in discussions. I'd encourage our listeners today and later to register on www.susanna.org and engage in discussions on the forum. For today's session, two similar organizations, the W4W Foundation and Susanna, have joined hands. Both the organizations emphasize the importance of dialogue in addressing environmental challenges. We strongly believe that by fostering open discussions among and between communities, practitioners, scientists, and policymakers, these are necessary as they help bridge gaps between different perspectives and knowledge bases, which enable development of innovative solutions. Such discussions also encourage us to share insights, raise awareness, and inspire collective action. Finally, engaging in meaningful dialogues encourages a sense of shared responsibility, empowering individuals and communities to take proactive steps towards sustainability and conservation. In today's session, we have with us today Mansi Bal Bhargava, the founder of W4W Foundation. And as I said, mentioned earlier, the session is titled A Conversation on Conversations Towards Conservation. I'm not going to introduce the speaker today as it would be done in a traditional way, because I'm going to allow her and ask her a question about it. So we'll directly dive into the interview right away. Are you there, Mansi?
Yes, I am there. Thank you so much, Paresh, for starting the session and also introducing.
Okay. So my first question to you, Mansi, is, and this is more generic for people who are going to hear you, maybe people who've not heard you earlier. If you could tell us a bit about your academic and professional journey so far.
Okay. Thank you so much, all of you, those who have joined today. And I have been a good listener for nearly 300 sessions at W4W. And I have a background in architecture, Paresh, and then I did my a master's and MPhil and PhD, and all my thesis and you can call it dissertation have been around water with focus on lake management, lake governance, or lake development. So somewhere I'm fascinated with these little water bodies which are called the eyes of the earth. And I can't resist looking at them whenever I see them. I just want to go there or I want to do something with them. Most of the time I'm crying standing by them or sitting by them because you know the state of affairs of the lakes in India. But having said that, it has given me my livelihood. It has given me my degrees, to be honest, and it has given me immense amount of knowledge to look at these water bodies from various angles. I think starting from architecture and then going into land economics with major in major in planning, and then getting into public administration PhD with major in political science. It really helped me understand this whole nexus of water, land, and everything around the political ecology and economy of it. Now, that is the part of the scholarship which I have gained around the world. And especially, I must mention having learned the collective action part of it, which is also the way I'm going to explain how we do here from Elinor Ostrom during my PhD, that we can come together and do something about it. And I think that really gave me a lot of hope and helped me to understand how we can build trust between each other. Anyway, so the PhD is quite late, by the way, in my life. So around 15 years after undergraduation. And in those years, I have done quite a bit of entrepreneurship and research in the field of built environment that includes architecture, urban design, and planning. But somewhere during PhD, I also had an inner call that consultancy may not be the way forward if I really want to dig more into my passion, which is water. Importantly, because water is not really seen as water in consultancy, it's for development. And I think the PhD gave me that clarification that there is a serious difference between development and conservation. And also during PhD, because it was a PhD on governance, I also realized that all the time what I was doing before that was more about, with good intent, but with a not so good outcome in terms of water systems and land systems. So at my own office, which is partnered with Akshay Bhargav, we do large scale ecological restoration that includes water conservation and afforestation. More than 1 million trees are planted almost a year. And having said that, there was still this, itching urge that why are we first degrading the landscape and then we come into picture and we restore the landscape. That is exactly what we are doing in the office. A degraded landscape, we are brought in and then we restore the landscape. So there were these heavy questions, and I think during PhD's 5 years, it came out, the picture was quite clear. So not get party to the degrading landscape, but at least start talking about it, and especially start talking about why are we consciously doing wrong things. So I really took a sabbatical for a long time, not not intended, but what to do? You don't get good jobs when you return from abroad to India, and especially being woman, and especially woman with head and speaking very clear, crystal clear. So yes, I did not find a job, which was, I think, a blessing in disguise, I must say. I did do some stunts here and there, but I had to hold on to my ethos and values. And for me, that was most important. So I did join few of them by invitation, but I left after some time and I felt that it was not my call and I cannot really compromise my values of work. And also a lot of other politics at work and things like that. So I mean, I could not really fit in into any system. And then I was reading a lot in those days, and I think I must acknowledge Rumi and Tao, who came quite close to my heart. And I started realizing that one has to just flow like water. I should not look for I will say permanence in terms of work or security, or because that was also caging me in terms of knowledge, caging me in terms of what I would like to do and offer. Yes, so then the sabbatical started, and you know me since then. I think then life is flowing. No complaints
Perfect.
since then.
Wow, what
I'm
a
on
journey
sabbatical.
you've had.
I'm on sabbatical, let me tell you, for long, long, long years.
That's an amazing journey. I mean, okay. So somewhere around this time, and you started this initiative W4W.
Yes.
Can you tell us about the genesis of this initiative?
Yeah. So actually, when I was reading these greats, including Confucius, Tao, Rumi, and all, and trying to understand different religion, by the way, trying to understand, did we had water problem then also in the past, or is it now that we are facing these problems, or what is, where are we standing today in society, and a lot of this climate change literature and all. And of course I was teaching my, so people may be very surprised. It's not that I eat air and drink water only. So I do run my livelihood through teaching and independent education, which I run my own courses, as well as I do my small grant research writings, and then that is my livelihood. Even till date, that is my livelihood. But somewhere around 2019 and 2020, especially 2020, by then, I think it was cementing, but around 2019, I was already realizing, knowing so many water experts from the field, many people are doing very good work. So there is immense amount of knowledge out there. But what I also realized that the knowledge is fragmented into disciplines, into sectors, into regions, into beliefs, into egos, into silos. You can just put all of them, but a lot of good work, you know. And I used, and during Corona, you are also aware that we were having all of this lot of long online conversations, and I was also very much listening to some of the greats around the world. I think it was in before that I was already conceptualizing the idea that are we talking enough about water? And I wish to bring two gentlemen here with whom I really revere in my own understanding of this difficult subject, are Anil Agarwal, where, and I think that that line is still in my deep in my heart, always making water everybody's business, you know. So, I mean, this question is always with me. At home, we are talking about film, politics, cricket, everything, but not about water, you know. So, I mean, so how can we really talk about water, just like an everyday business? And especially, I think the realization that I am water came quite hard around 2019. And if I have 70% water in my body, I should be spending 70% of my time talking about water. That was kind of a pagalpan in my, it came very clear. And I told you, you know, that sabbatical really helped me to start understanding. So I started writing, how can I really speak about water to people? If people are not speaking to me, can I speak about water to them? Can I learn about their work? And at the background, I wish to tell you personally, I'm very fond of reading biographies. So I got very interested to learn about what people are doing about water. So if I am not getting work, then indirect way to find out how people get work. I mean, I'm really telling you very much with open heart how people get work. If I am not able to get work, let me find out what they do. So when I was reading about everybody's work, I was thinking, okay, if I can learn a little bit more about their work, little bit more about them as individuals, how can I do that? And then Corona came, blessing in disguise. Let me just tell you, all these online courses were going on, and I had a very interesting a time. That time, in those days, I had an intern, and she was a planning student, so she was like my sponge. So I was telling my dreams. You know, how should people talk to each other about water, sitting on a dining table or sitting on the couch, and what should be done. So that time, it was around 2020, I was designing this whole series, what should be done, how it should be conducted, how it can sustain. So I was just writing, and you know, I have a long glass table just next to me here. So I was just designing and thinking what should be done so that it can be done. And in that time, I was not really imagining many people joining the movement. For me, the urge was that I wish to spend time talking about water. And I was not having enough of those people and contacts. So a gray zone or a very good zone I lived for most of my life is academicians do not think that I'm enough academics. I have enough academics. Activists think I do not have enough activism. researchers thinks that I'm not enough scientific. So I think that space where people misunderstand or misunderstood me over the years, it really gave me a lot of space to think and think deep about water and think, read and write about water. You may be knowing that I write a lot, not scientific, but citizen science. And I think I also understood that staying in that misunderstood zone gives me a lot of space to experiment on things. So
Exactly.
this is kind of an experiment with what for me. Today is Gandhi Jayanti, so I wish to also make this line very clear, because I do revere his work as well, that you have to have that nagging perseverance to work on it. So I had this one solo agenda. I want to see what people are doing and what kind of water activities are taken up. It may be out of my own crisis, I don't know, but I mean, of course, I was teaching those that time as a full-time teacher, but very short time. But how can you engage with others? I mean, especially all those others who are experts, who are doing exemplary work, and how can I really bring them and make me learn about water? You know, so it's a free classroom I have been engaged in for more than 3 years now. People come and educate me.
That's an amazing statement that you made about being in the gray zone where uh, I mean, and this is true for many interdisciplinary researchers where you are not considered an expert in any of the disciplines,
Yes,
but good overall. Similarly, between people who practice and people who do research together, that who again not the best of practitioners, not the best of
yes.
academics, but good. So I think that's something amazing. And you did mention about having different kinds of experts
Hmm.
and having seen or having been seen the W4W um, um, events for over a year almost, I think now,
Yes, you are here
or
for
at
more.
least been following.
Yes,
Uh, I have seen that there are subtle differences between Mondays, Wednesdays, and Friday. Not subtle, but very very clear demarcations. What you do on Monday, what you do on Friday, and what you do on Wednesdays.
hmm.
Can you elaborate a bit on that? In a sense, why do they vary? How do they vary? But
Yes,
also, how what is similar? I mean, one water is the common thread, but are
absolutely.
there other similarities?
Yes. So I want to pick up from where it was growing in my head. So around 2020 December, I reached out to some of my friends like Vibhu Prasad Naik from TIS, who is one of the founders. So it's initially you said founder. Actually, I'm the co-founder, not the founder.
Oh,
So then I reached to Fauzia Tarannum from Terry School of Advanced Studies, and I shared my idea that this is what I wish to do, and I have this plan, and we can do this and that. And then I was very blessed with some scholars who are my ex-students, and then they were really looking for some interesting thing to do. So I was also engaging them that this is my dream to do this and that. And I think by March we were clear, like, and then Fausia introduced me to Ganesh Shankar from Plugs Gen. So with few of these seniors, and then I knew of ex Times of India media partner Counterview, Rajiv Shah. So I was just explaining to those people who may listen to me, that what I wish to do. Then I think we were all on board, and May 2021 we started. The first session was with Rajendra Prasad ji, and as
oh,
it was really a very funny situation, because it was our first session, and I had a student from Teresa Sanubhuti Shekhar to be discussant Wednesday, and I was moderating, and Rajendra Prasad ji came and he spoke for 10 minutes, and he went to the field, and we are online. So I'm like, Rajendra ji, we are waiting for you. अरे मैं तो खेत पे निकल गया, यहाँ तालाब में कुछ पानी का कुछ गड़बड़ हो गया है, तुम लोग मैनेज कर लो. So, and it was really very interesting session, because then people were asking question, and I was kind of responding to Rajendra ji, telling I'm sorry, I was responding to the participants on behalf of Rajendra ji, because I also follow his work very keenly. So that was our inaugural. But then by the time it was already decided that we were going to do a Monday and Friday, sorry, Wednesday and Friday. So Wednesday's sessions are designed in a way, kind of a panel discussion. Today we are not having a panel discussion. Ideally, this session would have fallen in Friday category. So, um, So Wednesday, we do panel discussion on some scientific topic. Like last time, we had a session on desalination, and we take up a hard science and ask our speakers to talk about it in a very citizen science manner, decoding the hard science and putting it in a layperson language. That's the first criteria. I thought it was extremely important to make water everybody's business. That's our important line, so which we call it conversation for conservation. So that's the tagline for W4W Foundation. So if you want to do conserve water, you have to actually converse about water. That's the whole idea. So we anyway, so Wednesday is about a panel discussion where we invite a youth to be discussant as a representative of the citizen, and the experts talk about the subject matter, and we have so half the time they speak and half the time the discussant is talking to or questioning the expert, and also participants are doing that. And so it's a different format. Then Friday we have very interesting way, we call it wet the Fridays with fun. So fun filled activities. So we have water talkies that happens once in a month, where we invite filmmakers or film crew if they have done any project on waters, like Jal Danav, for example, tanker mafia. So these are some of the sessions I'm giving example. So then the crew members of the film, any of the crew members, and we had Shyam Benegal talking about his work actually in Water Talkies, and when he talked about Well Done Abba film and the making of Mujib. So they come and they talk about making of the film, as you have seen in filmmaking also they do making of the film. So talking little bit about the film, but more about why water as a subject was chosen, how the project was conceptualized. So that's Friday Water Talkies we do. Then we have Friday Water Thesis Club, where you were invited. So we are reaching out to PhD scholars and postdoc scholars if they would like to explain how their research is done and what is the contribution, what is the way forward. And in that we have a jury sitting for the session. So jury members are basically interacting. Again, the speaker speaks for half the time, and half the time is Q&A. So, and then we have Friday Water Reading Club. So then we invite authors or editors of the book, and again, making of the book is discussed. Why this topic was taken? How did you organize so many authors if it is edited volume? If it is two authors or solo author, what was the idea behind? How much time it takes? It's like a candid conversation sitting in a bookstore and you're talking about with the author. So that's book reading. And then Friday Water Arts. So in water arts, it has been extremely interesting because art is a huge horizon.
Yes.
So we have had live performance also from Hey Nadi Sarite,
Wow.
yes, they're performing live on the other side. Even like Sukrit Sen did his performance. And then we also had people who presented their art, like Nikhil Chaudhary presented his animation work, and Apla Vatsa presented her. I'm just giving few names because I cannot name all of them. It's just whoever is coming on my mind immediately. Presented her paintings. So this is a Friday Water Arts. Apart from that, we also have Meet a Maestro. So for example, if we have Apurva Ojha sir coming on 4th. So when we have these legends who have spent like 40, 50 years in the water sector, we give, like we had Peter Molinga
Yes.
in August, so in September, sorry. So we give them enough space to give their presentation and talk about the way they look at the sector, whatever is their specialization. So I was hoping that Peter will talk about IWRM, but then he went ahead and he talked more about how integration and interaction happens. So, and moving beyond IWR. Anyway, so these are some of the sessions. So after a year of Wednesday and Friday, when I became the national president of Water Resource Council of the Chamber of Commerce and Industry, I thought that it's a good time that we introduce the Monday Munching and Musing with Women for Water, because I took it as a responsibility to identify women in the water sector in India, because we have to form the council. So when the council was given to me, I had started from zero. Of course, there were 20 members, but those 20 members, only one of them continued in my council, and not many people continued. So I started from zero. I took some of the speakers from our W4W sessions, and then set up the whole Water Resource Council. And what we did, now we have 100 members in the council, 100 plus rather. And we took up Monday Munching also as a regular activity. So we have conducted more than 75 sessions in
Wow.
Monday Munching and Musing with Women for Water. In that session, we are not talking about water. We want to acknowledge and appreciate their being in the water sector, because you must be knowing that there are hardly any women in the water sector, and even if they are, their work is not really coming to the limelight. So, and this is the work which has been appreciated by CV. So setting up this council, doing Monday Munching, and publishing quite a bit of articles. So last year, World Water Week, CV helped and supported us to present the work of Wiki Water Resource Council. So now the Monday Munching is also part of our series. So on an average, we are doing 3 sessions, which is quite a lot, but sometimes we don't get speakers. So we are doing 2 sessions a week. That's how we are today. And today is 296th session.
Wow. Unfortunately, or let's say fortunately, I've worked in organizations where women were the leaders. I mean,
Hmm,
the first project I was associated with, there were three partners,
hmm,
and all the three partners were headed by women.
hmm,
And I
hmm.
look back now, and I think how how different the situation was, or how unique the situation was, where we know for sure that women are not, or their work not being acknowledged in the sector. But I was in a situation where the three partners were headed by women. So on that, and you mentioned that you have issues with, or you have challenges with identifying speakers.
Yes.
And I wanted to, the question that I had was, how does this whole cycle work? You know, from identifying speakers, how do you identify speakers? What are the challenges involved? And of course, tell us also about the team that you currently have,
Absolutely.
because I'm in acknowledging that you are the face of the initiative, but an initiative such as this cannot be run without a team. It
Absolutely.
can't be an one man army.
No, no, and it should not be. And that was all, that will fail the purpose of doing it as a collective action. So I told you the way it was conceptualized as a citizens collective. And initially, I was very reluctant to register it as a organization, which was registered after 1 year of looking at it's going smooth. And there's a huge body of team which works. I wish they were actually at the foreground, but they prefer to be at the background. But as I mentioned about the founding members, there are also array of I must say uh, team members and youth actually, and most of them are my ex-students, but also very good friends. So it's a good idea that I really mentioned that with Megha Gupta and Gautami were my two research associates when I started conceptualizing. But then later on, other students also who graduated and they wanted to be associated with me also joined, like Garbhit Naik, Harshita, Sehgal, Monica Tiwari, who are currently, by the way, working, Anubhuti Shekhar, who are part and parcel of the whole game very much. Then I have a junior friend Vandana Tripathi. So we have this work divided, and then very close friends like and all these close friends, when I'm saying, actually they are all evolved from the speaker group, by the way, like Ekta Gupta and Sonia Gupta are managing Friday Waters Thesis Club. Vishal headed the thesis club for almost a year, and then he moved on. Then we have Anuja Bali and Rajkumari Sunita Devi from Manipur. They look up to at the Friday Waters cinema, what do you call, film. And then we have water arts was taken by a long time, for almost a year, by Professor Sara Ahmed. So and there are list of people. Ranjan Panda came in to help in for some time. Alka Palricha came in to help for the book reading session for almost a year. And I mean the list is really long. So nearly 20 people have joined this endeavor and moved on sometimes, and sometimes staying back. And I'm in constant search of people, and because the working mechanism is very much like a volunteering for it. So we have not had much chance with getting grants, and I really did not see it as a grant seeking platform, because initially I did not realize that it will grow as this big. Initially, I really wanted to know only 100 people in the water sector, just know them, because I was keen as a biographical journey also, and also to see how they deal with water. Then it moved on to 100 sessions. So now it is like 300, nearly 300 sessions with 450 speakers. So it's big. And of
Yeah.
course, it is registered as well. And we are trying to keep it more disciplined. So in a way, we book sessions around 4 to 6 weeks in advance. We are always in the hunt for speakers. You must have seen in that little WhatsApp group where I'm constantly writing when I'm in crunch. But honestly, I have not yet exercised my personal network even by 50%. It's just that I don't find dates from them, or they are sometimes they saying, okay, next week karte hain, then I also forget, they also forget. And if I see that way, I think we still can have many more sessions with our core team as well. But today I'm speaking more at a personal level, because as a citizens collective, I really do not wish to represent everybody. It will be good that everybody speaks on their own behalf. So I want to just speak as Mansi and not as W4W Foundation, but definitely my little contribution in that whole journey. It was not possible without all of these people pitching together. So when we find a speaker, we also have a WhatsApp group, and that information is poured in there. Then the junior army, which are senior research fellows who are doing much good work in their own professional fields. So some people have responsibility of preparing the creative. You saw yourself, the creative is done, and then
Yes.
there is a discussion guide. So we are, for every session there's a discussion guide, and it is for the reason that if I am unable to attend, if somebody attends or hosts that session or has to do that session, is able to do it because there's a guide. So
Yeah.
for every session there is a text, because I also want to highlight that for most of the session we aspire to convert it into an article, an essay, which we are
Okay.
trying to do. We are lagging behind a lot, but that's an aspiration to write about water in a mainstream language, and not do much scientific work out of it. I do scientific paper as well personally, but the discussion guide becomes the base for for the other senior scholar to start writing about it. So they take this document and they look at the video and they transcribe. We are not transcribing through AI at this moment. We are doing it manual. So then there is this coordination between speaker and all happens as well, and then we are constantly following them. So we are usually taking 4 to 6 weeks in advance. There has been rarely 5% time that the people have canceled their sessions. So I mean, to be safe, because everybody is working person except me, I think everybody has a really good work and job and busy people. So I find that if I have to coordinate with them and they want to volunteer and contribute their time, so around 30 hours per week, kind of a calculation I have for people to contribute as a scholar or as a volunteer. So then I need that time to keep it on hand, so that nobody is stressed, neither the speaker nor my researchers nor my senior members. So that's how it works at the background. So for most of the time, it was run on voluntary basis, and now we are trying to get some grant. I mean, we have not yet opened a request for grant. I will be honest on that.
That's amazing. Running a
Giving time.
show without the funding, that's amazing.
The
And
people
on
are
all and
giving
on
time.
voluntary basis.
People are giving time. That's a contribution.
Yes, that's true. That's true.
Somebody has to coordinate, and as I told you, I am on sabbatical,
Yeah.
still looking for good work. Still looking for good work, so I can give a little bit more time than 30 hours.
Yeah. Okay. So going, and now that we've had this time to discuss or reflect on the journey,
Hmm.
let's get into a little bit for the researcher in me and for
Yes.
others. What role do you think uh, is the initiative has for this, for elusive knowledge management in the sector? And by knowledge management, I mean,
Yes.
there are people who generate knowledge, but then bringing it out to practitioners, and from
Yes.
practitioners to other practitioners, for example,
Hmm.
or from practitioners to researchers. This whole
Hmm.
cycle of,
Hmm.
there are practices, everybody on the field or as a
Mm.
researcher is doing some, brings in their own novelty because of their background. As you said, because of your background in architecture, you have a different perspective.
Mm.
So similarly, planners and engineers bring in different perspectives, and those perspectives shape their work, whether it is research or practice. And how do you, but unfortunately it remains cocooned within these, either with individuals or with organizations.
Yes.
And how do you see that role the of this initiative to manage this knowledge in a better, for as a service to the sector?
Yeah. So one thing I would like to put forth right before elaborating the point is that our target was initially not, and even till date, I personally, it's my way of looking at it. It was to really make water everybody's business, so transcend the whole cycle of experts, because the expertise and experts themselves are fragmented by their way of looking at things, by their expertise, as I mentioned, by the sector and all. So it was important for me to really conceptualize this idea how to reach to common people. It is a different story altogether that people in the water sector are mostly attending the session, but that was not the idea initially. Um, Also, the idea that we all are proponents of action in the society. You must have seen people who are really doing things on the ground,
Yes.
have much more appreciation and acknowledgement than the proponents of knowledge. And teachers are classic example where they do not draw much respect from the society, the proponents of knowledge. And I think it was very important for me to understand this nuance of being proponent of knowledge, but at the same time, getting this knowledge from the resource doers. So there are a set of people who do resource management, and they have very good grounding on in the society. But there are also people who are managing the knowledge of the resource management, which is where researchers and academicians come into picture. So how to really bridge between the resource managers, resource knowledge managers, and then I'm introducing a third party, which is the people at large. Because people also have to understand, the people at large, that everything done on the ground is not really right, because if
So
it is not science backed. I mean, I'm personally, I may not have succeeded in doing so. For example, riverfront, we are all going gaga about riverfront. I'm not gaga about riverfront design. But how do you convey it to people in a very in a very I will say citizen science manner? So there is a bit of science in it, but also the vocabulary of that science is such that people are able to understand that something has to be really thought through and not done just for the sake of doing, the whole political ecology and political economy behind it. So I think the series was not really conceptualized as in building only the network, but also how this high profile, high scientific background people can really decode this science into a very layperson language where people can start talking about the science, so that people do not keep themselves away from this science, which is the water science. So networking between the people and the organization, definitely W4W is able to do that through inviting people from all over the country. And now we are going abroad as well to find speakers. So if there are people from outside, help us find speakers. We have started Asia series now. So within the Wednesday session, we also do series. So lake series, biodiversity series, pollution series. So then we are now compiling those essays into a small compendium. So when I'm talking about building a network with other associations, it's just that right now we know them. We have not got into any formal engagement, but it's more like, yes, there are these associations. They are there, like IWA is there, like Susanna is there. Um, and I'm actually learning from them how do they run their show as an association, because W4W is not an association or a council. You know, it's just a simple platform where you come thrice a week and talk about water. I really looked at it in that simple manner, personally. I mean, I can't speak on behalf of everybody, but for me, it was, as I told you, in a very naive way, I wish to speak about water every day in some way or the other. So, and most of the other days, actually, I am physically engaging either on teaching, and I do lake walks. You have seen that, water walks and all. Conducted more than 70 water walks now. So I take people from across the background, whether it is police or school student, government officers. I bring them to water and talk about water. So there are physical activities as well happening apart from writing about it. But as far as connecting with other organizations, I will be very honest that we have not managed to do that apart from just inviting them in this platform and doing. So, but we have now have two research projects which are happening. Probably one you can consider it, which is Ganga plastic pollution, tracking and tackling plastic pollution in the Ganga basin. So where we got CGAP from Delhi who have come forward to help us doing the project. So we are doing the research part of it. As a women's team working on that project. So that's a pure research project which we are working on. And like this time in World Water Week, we brought a new research project. So I write research proposals personally. And now some of the, if the research proposal is big, I'm thinking that if W4W will take it up and there are more team members from it. So current project, we just got a small grant to work on it is disaster, the water anxiety project, where we are looking at disaster-led displacement and how women are, facing that water anxiety. And the point I'm trying to make is how water anxiety, if not addressed, water security can never be achieved. So we have these multi-disaster zones around the world. It's a research project. So multi-disaster zone around the world where we are looking at different disasters and looking at women as, as a pilot. So anyway, so these are the two projects I must say, which I can talk about, that we have at least managed to get some of our networks to really engage with us. But apart from that, I think we still have to work really hard to get more collaborative approach in doing building this network further. But what I learned from all networks like you people, like Sevi has come forward, this young woman, South Asian women in water, they want to run a series with us, for example. So this is the way I think we are doing little bit on collaboration part. But as of now, it is just a knowledge platform where we are building our knowledge, but we have to see how we can take it further. We have not yet got an opportunity, and I will be very open on in exploring that opportunity, honestly.
So, as I understand, there is a set of knowledge that you have now, but dissemination is still one you're lagging behind, or it continues to be a challenge.
Absolutely. Dissemination we are doing again, but it's not in a way we would like it to, get upscaled or expand as an outreach. And I wish to tell this again because we have to understand that it is run by voluntary work.
Yes.
So we really didn't have an opportunity to take it uh, large. And personally, I'm doing my best to take it to wherever it can be. But then I'm not a very ambitious person, Paresh. Not an ambitious. I really wish to talk about water every day, and then I'm happy. So it's
Okay.
not about but I'm also challenged to take it so in a large scale because I have not done large scale work in that sense, especially collective and citizens collective like this. But I am constantly reminded of Elinor Ostrom in that sense that collective action is possible. So actually, when this series was conceptualized, or the W4W was conceptualized, I was really also keen, apart from experimenting with water, I was also keen to see how can we work together in an informal setup. What all things are required to work in an informal setup. So many times people say that W4W is women for water. Most of the time, because they see me as a woman, they just say it like that. But importantly, I wanted to just understand from people around the water sector that if they are passionate, they are working, how can we come together in a very loosely made setup where everyone commits for some time and some kind of activity, and then they live to their commitment, the compliance to the commitment kind of thing. So it is really formed in a very loose manner at this moment, and we have not yet had opportunity to make it really formalize it in that sense and go big and things like that. So we do promote the sessions, but we are definitely challenged about it. But I wish to also tell people about the full form of W for W at this point, because it's extremely important for me. So W for W is actually abbreviated from V for water, first of all. Then it was World for Water, and Water for World. The second part remains water after that. So wisdom for water, worries for water, women for water, walk for water, and so on and so forth. So I had this around 20 of these, and then I thought, okay, we can't do all of it. We just have W for W, and that next second W remains as water. And I'm constantly thinking, and also retrospecting, should it go large, should it expand, how, I don't know, but I'm still in the first phase of the question, should I take it big? Because or someone else from the team is imagining to take it big, maybe they will be better to answer that question. But personally, I have not really explored that option. But if there are people who can support and think that they can really take it big and they can do some wonders with it, because the end goal has to be to make everybody talk about water. That was the value on which it was laid down. Yeah.
Okay. Perfect. On that note, I'm going to come to the last part of the interview, and I think we should not take more than five so that there is at least some time for questions. And
Yes.
people, please write down your questions in your comments, or whether you're accessing from Zoom or on YouTube, write them down and we'll try and answer them either today online or later.
Yes.
But what are the challenges that the initiative faces? Now, you've mentioned about, this being a volunteer led, there are issues with finding time, money for it. But
Absolutely.
and I want to understand both challenges that you face on a day-to-day basis, which again you've kind of hinted at them, but I want you to be explicit about it. And in the long term,
Yeah.
and again, you've already spoken about the future that you foresee, so I'm not going to dwell on that much. So that is the question I have, and
Yeah.
that's where we could end for the.
Yeah, thank you. I think it's a very important question to understand it in the challenge part of it, because uh, all this rosy picture of these initiatives, of course, has huge challenge at the background. They don't come easy, and those of you who organize sessions, you know how difficult it is to coordinate. So, in a collective action or in an experiment of collective action, the role of coordinator is extremely crucial. And when I look back to 3.5 years, trust me, Paresh, if I was not coordinating this, I would have already finished my 3 books on which I'm sitting. So that can be a very simple way to put it together. So there's a huge effort which goes in coordinating and even keeping your team motivated. You know, then new team members coming, then hand holding them what is to be done, because we have to understand that this kind of initiative, for youth to really be focused around or be engaged in this kind of initiative, has a huge question in them: what is water in here? See, because I want to go back to the point that this is not a proponents of action field, what W for W at this moment is doing collectively. Because all of us as founder members are already doing their water work independently. Some
Yeah.
of the senior fellows are also doing their water work independently. Now, the challenge is that our personal or individual work is not coming here. It's a completely added work. So then one has to really draw that line also, and also prioritize their work. So coordination takes a lot of the time in this, and in the long run also coordination will remain a big challenge for all of us in the team here. And that's why I'm constantly looking for motivated people who can give time, you know, who can take this responsibility what Paresh has taken today. Because you may have
Correct.
seen, I'm doing this for long, most of the time. You saw that, because you had asked me to run this interview almost a year ago, and I was kind of postponing this and postponing, because I didn't know whether I should be talking individually for W for W, being it a citizens collect. But then I was already writing an essay for it, and I thought it's 300 sessions coming. So there's some kind of validation of, this nagging perseverance that somebody has to go after it. And, but if everyone doesn't go after it, will it work or not is my long-term challenge. Uh, you know, because this kind of initiatives run with proactive involvement, especially knowing that you do not get direct incentive out. So you have to be either emotionally, emotionally attached to the subject, or you really wish to learn. So for me, it is very simple, and you may be knowing that I'm also a public speaker. So I'm almost speaking on any platform. My average is 1.5 speeches per week, which is quite a lot. And it's not
Yes.
online, it's physical as well. So online is very less, it's physical for me. So, and I have learned that first of all, I should learn to listen. And this series has really helped me learning to listen. And anyway, I'm a good listener. And for to be a good speaker, I have to be listening as well. And in
Yes.
nearly 296 session, you will be surprised to know I have not actually sat for only 4 sessions. 290
Wow.
sessions I have sat through the session. And this is what exactly I was craving for, the knowledge of water to come to me. And can you imagine? I mean, I don't think even Harvard, Stanford, and Cambridge could have given me, I'm a Cambridge graduate, would have given me this kind of knowledge on water. Concentrated draws on water, constantly flowing, sipping into my head every week. So listening to learn, and that was also very important. But if the group, the citizens collective, is not seeing it like this, the long term challenge is to run it if you are not passionately driven by it. And I'm very open up with you on this. um, and it cannot be run by one person. But I think because it's running for such long time, there's a validation to the effort which has gone in. We have been blessed with scholars coming in and moving out. Of course, if they have their postdoc, or somebody gets job, or somebody, wants to move on to something else. So we have had seen scholars coming in. Now we take interns as well, but the role of coordinator still remains very, very crucial. So I'm enjoying learning from people. People come smiling, teach me. They feel very happy that they could express themselves, and I am the happiest that I could learn with no additional cost. Just giving my 1 hour, I learn from people. What do they do? Sitting in my own little space on my mat, like Gandhiji, sitting on the floor with a table, I listen to people happily. Long term running, I have my doubts that we can run it for a long time. I will be very honest on it. If we do not get support, if we get support of people, I'm not seeking big grant, but if people can come forward and really run it through, at least next 2 months, I know there are sessions. So I'm just living by 2 months or 4 weeks or 6 weeks. So I plan for that. The team plans for that at the background, like, and then we have series. So there are series people who are responsible for their own sessions. So they take responsibility. That way, I think taking these baby steps have brought me to nearly 300 for us. So I hope 500 will not be difficult in that way.
Certainly. On that note, and I want to capture this, your last part a bit, uh, and understand if I correct it. So part of it is now on autopilot because some
Autopilot.
people have taken initiative, and
Yes.
part of it you continue to coordinate. And thank you for that. On that note, I have, and again, you also brought out about this, one person leading, and people, probably some people feeling that this is a nagging personality. But I think to
No.
run an initiative like this, it's absolutely essential. For Susanna, for example, there was this head moderator Elizabeth, who
Mm,
started the forum. Who was instrumental in starting the forum.
mm,
She was the head moderator for all the time till we had two people who started supporting her, and then because there were funding challenges or other challenges, and she wanted to move on, she said, okay, let the other, now that we have some new moderators, I could
mm.
move on till.
I'm
But
waiting for that moment. I'm also
her
waiting for
her
that moment.
habit of not leaving a single thread unattended,
Mm,
that I think that contributed to the success Susanna had to begin with. Again,
absolutely.
Susanna is not a collective in a sense that it is, again, very informal. It's there are no paid memberships or anything, and we've had donor support for a while, but again, largely our moderation time is accounted for, but it's not a full time job, so therefore it doesn't take a center stage in our life, and probably that can be a challenge from the institutional perspective.
Absolutely. So we so for last 1 year, we have support from FluxGen. July to July, we got support from FluxGen. We could pay for our grants. So we call it responsible citizen grant to our senior fellows. But having said that, before that, I was running it for nearly 2.5 years with, of course, grant. But not that my senior fellows really asked for it. It's just that I thought I should give it, now because all my senior fellows are my ex-students. So they did not, and they are all working. Probably they are earning much more than I get from my livelihood. So they are. So, I'm grateful to them. But there is a small grant on research. But I think that grant is not enough to upscale it.
Okay.
It's going by
Okay.
coordination.
On that note, I'm going to look if there are. When I looked at the chat, there were no questions in the chat. And if somebody can point me out if there are questions on YouTube, I'm not sure.
I will
I
check.
haven't been able to follow on YouTube, but
I'm checking.
okay.
Not that I can see right now. Yeah.
Okay, then on that note, I must thank you for this wonderful interview, for the wonderful initiative that you've started and running us through this entire the genesis, the challenges on a daily basis. What do you foresee it doing in the future? Thank you for the amazing work that you do, and we certainly hope that you have 500 sessions and 1,000 sessions in the near future.
Hopefully.
Thanks to all the participants here in Zoom and on YouTube. We thank you for your support and encouragement to make water conversations meaningful. And on behalf of W4W, we shall continue with the initiative with Wednesday sessions and Friday sessions and Monday sessions. We have the next session on the 9th of October, feasibility and challenges in running water-based programs. The joining link is again in the chat. Do keep checking our social media accounts and website, w4w.in, for regular updates. Thank you. Do take care of yourself. Goodbye.
Thank you so much, Paresh, for this heartwarming session. Thanks a lot. And thanks everybody for joining. I see some new names here. So if you are interested to speak on our platform, do message us or email us. We will be very happy to take you as speakers, as we are constantly fishing speakers from all over the world. So do join. And if with your due permission, Paresh, if I may announce
yes, please.
Yeah. So this Friday, which is day after, we have Friday Waters Meet a Maestro, where we are having Apurva Oja sir from Aga Khan Foundation. And he is going to talk about from field interventions to policy change and the learning from the Aga Khan Development Network. Same time, we have always kept it at 5 to 6 p.m. And you may find the link also on our website, which is updated very regularly by our fellows. So I wish to thank all my senior fellows and junior fellows who have joined this journey and made it meaningful for us. Thanks a lot, guys. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.